Hey loves, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'll be showing you how to make this kimono jacket with a beaded back. If something you're interested in, keep watching, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do hit the subscribe button. So for this project, what we need is a 2.5 yard of fabric, as well as your scissors, your tape, and a bead. For me, I'll be using a sand bead. You can go ahead and use a crystal bead. So I went ahead to fold my fabric into 4 pieces because I'll be cutting the back and the front together. So once this is done, I went ahead to check out the length of fabric I'll be using. So I just decided to use the full length of the fabric, which is 45.5 for this project. So after this is done, I went ahead to mark out my shoulder line, which is the next step, and then forwarded to taking my neck measurement, which I came in by 3 inches for the width. So once this is done, the next thing for you now to do is to take your shoulder measurement. Shoulder measurement, I'll be working with 7, 14 divided by 2, 7. And once you have achieved your shoulder measurement, the next step to do is to take your sleeve measurement. Now this depends on how long you want your sleeve to be. So for me, I am working with a sleeve length of 16. If you want it longer, you can go ahead and use the whole fabric for the sleeve. So I want my sleeve to be 16 inches, so I went ahead to mark 16 inches. So once that is done, the next thing to do is to get your arm circumference. Now this also depends on how wide you want it to be, and I want mine to be 20 inches wide, so I went ahead to mark out 20 inches. So once this is done, the next thing to do is to get your shoulder slope. This helps your shoulder relax perfectly well, and you do this by coming down by 1 inch from the shoulder line you have already measured out. So after you're down by 1 inch, you go ahead and trace that line down to your neck measurement, where you measured out 3 inches for your neck width. So that line has to be connected to your neck measurement. Having done this, the next thing to do is to get quarter of your hip measurement, your hip divided by 4, and then add as much allowance as you want, since this jacket is going to be a boo-boo kind of jacket. So I went ahead to add 5 inches allowance because I want mine to be kind of big on me. So after I did that, I went ahead to connect my arm circumference measurement down to where I have my, the quarter of my hip measurement, and then went ahead to draw a straight line down to the hem of the fabric. So once this is achieved, the next thing to do is to go back to where you have your neck measurement and then just draw the line down all the way to the end of your fabric, to the hem part. So once you have done this, now we'll go ahead and cut out this line because we definitely won't be needing it. That will be where our bead will be for the back, and also where our band will be for the front, and then proceeded to cut out all the traced lines. So this is basically the cutting part of this kimono beaded jacket. Nothing too serious. You can do this in less than 2 minutes, and once you're done, sewing won't take you up to an hour. So now that we are done cutting, you can see that we now have 4 pieces of this fabric, 2 for the front and 2 for the back. So any of this fabric is okay for you to use for the front or for the back because they are both of the same measurement. So for the back, I'll be using the first 2 fabric. So I'm just going to take this fabric now to my machine and fold it this way and sew on it. This is because this is the part where the bead will be. So now that the sewing is done, you'll notice that the center back and the center front are no longer equal, and that is perfectly fine. So after this is done, the next thing to do would be to join both shoulders together, the front and the back shoulder together, front facing each other. So I'm just going to take this now to my sewing machine and then join both sides, and when I'm done joining it, I'll come back to show you what next to do. So now I am done joining it, and when you join it, you will notice that the back and the front are still not equal. That is very much fine because the extra part at the front will be where your band will be. So now that both sides are already joined by their shoulder, we'll go ahead to cut out your band for the front part of the dress. So for the band, I'll be working with 4.5 inches. Make sure to measure out the length of the dress so that the band can go round. If possible, have excess. You'll end up trimming it, and that's perfectly fine. So I am done cutting out my band. So I'm just going to go ahead and pin the band to the dress, front facing each other. So while pinning, when you get to the part where you have both joinings of your shoulder, all you have to do now at this point is to pause or stop. Once you are at that point, you have to stop and then get the measurement for your neck. So for this part, I'll be using, yeah, what we measured earlier for our neck width. It was 3 inches, which is basically 6. So I'll go ahead now and measure out 6 inches for the neck, but I want it to be a bit free, not so tight on the neck. So I'll go ahead to add extra 3 inches to make it 9 inches to help the neck free and relaxed, not so choky. It gives it space. So I went ahead to mark out 9 inches for my neck. So I secured that part with a pin, and once that part is secured, I'll continue pinning down the dress till I get to the end part of it. So once you're done pinning, you can go ahead and cut out the extras. If you have an extra, go ahead and cut it because it won't be needed. So this is what we have now. I'll just take this to my sewing machine and stitch it straight down to like this till I get to this part, so I get to the neck part. So having joined both parts together, the next thing to do now will be for us to top stitch the band. So while top stitching, make sure that the join part faces the band. Just this way that I am showing you right now, make sure it faces the band, and then once it's done, go ahead and just sew it. So we've gotten to the part where we have, the joining, the both shoulder joined together that leads to the neck part. So now this part is kind of a bit tricky. So this part, for you to get a neat job, you have to make sure that this joining faces the front part so that you can be able to fix the neck properly. So you just go ahead and join the neck just this way that you see me do. fold both ends together. So after top stitching the band, I went ahead to join both sides of the jacket together by 1 inch. Sorry, I wasn't able to get that in the video. So the next step to do after joining both sides now is to go ahead and start fixing your bead. So I've gone ahead to do the first part of the bead off camera, so I'll be showing you now how to do the other part of the bead. And now for this bead part, in order to get a V shape like bead for the droppings, you go ahead and cross both sides of the back this way to give you this V shape line. If you don't do it this way, you probably will not get the V shape you want for your beading. So you go ahead, fold both sides, and secure it with a pin so that you can have that V shape available for you to go start beading. So now that I have secured that part with the pin, I'm just going to show you how to do the beading. So for the beading, I'm very sure you can remember that the back we folded it like you are hemming your scarf. So at that part you folded, that is where your needle and your thread is going to be sewn, just like I am doing at this part. Make sure it comes from behind so that the thread doesn't show in front. So this is basically just how to bead this jacket. There's nothing too serious, there's nothing too hard about it. And yes, this I forget, let me just let you know guys, this is where the work comes in, because you have to stand for minutes so that you can get this bead accurate, so everything is fine. This is where the hard part is. Not really hard, but yeah, this is where the work comes in. Yeah guys, so for the spacing of this bead, I came down by 1.5 inch for it. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the remaining part of the beading. And yeah guys, if you by chance find this video helpful, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, don't forget to like, don't forget to drop a comment in the comment section, and don't forget to share.